Welcome everyone to the Social Dig, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I am your host, Mr. Rob G, and as always, we're going to be jumping into the topics that keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking. So come on in, kick your feet up, get an ice cold beverage, get ready to join the conversation. Welcome back, everybody, to the late night call-in show right here on the Social Dig. We just got through spooky season, so the last few episodes have been related around that. Tonight, we're back to basics. We're back to the topics that keep you thinking, right? So that's what we'll do tonight. Hopefully, we have an awesome show here. And, so what we want to do is make sure that we stay on topic tonight. Let's do the UFOs. Let's do cryptids. Take your choice. But let's keep it within the realm of that here tonight as we go ahead and get into a great conversation. Let's see, who else do we have out there? We have joining us tonight. If I can get back in the chat here. It looks like we have Area 51 in the building. We got Magneticus Attractus. We have Christine joining us. Magneticus, gifting one Social Dig membership. We do appreciate you supporting the channel, Magneticus, as always. Thank you, buddy. Who else do we have? We have T-Bone. T-Bone in the building, gifted 10 subscriptions. Wow. Thank you, T-Bone. Appreciate your support right here on the Social Dig. Awesome stuff. Let's see, who else do we have? Cielo Azul is here. Thanks for coming on in. We have, so get down the list here. Moving down. Fast Timmy is in the building. Hey, Fast Timmy, thanks for showing on up. Appreciate you coming in tonight. Wes H is here. Thanks, Wes H. Getting down the list here. I know we got lurkers out there for sure. We also got Polly Rotterman in the building. Hey, Polly. Shaq Valet is here. Hillbilly Herb is here. Appreciate you showing on up here tonight. Welcome to the show. It's in the UK, 6:30 a.m. with the G. Yes, sir. Appreciate you being here. Welcome to the show. Major Lee, as we go ahead and get ready to get into a great conversation tonight. And I do see someone already in the background here, which we'll be bringing up. Let me go ahead and jump into some stuff here. We have the number here. Always, please save it in your phone. Want to tell your experience? You can do that by calling this number at any time. 856-843-3444. But that's 856 the DIGG. Outside the United States, it's the same number. Just dial 001 first. As we go ahead and get into some more stuff here, lock it in your phone. Memberships available, and even more tonight. So we do appreciate you guys running down the list. Maggie and 10, the Beekeeper, D. Nunley, T-Bone, and Joanne, Mothman, Richard Wilson, Love You Love, Dogface, Blue Riders, DG, Pontus Ork, Depth, Sacramento Flat 6, Lulu Bell, President Zaddy, Eternal Thirsty, Bryce's Folly, Magneticus Attractus, Urso Suprosa, Kurt M, Hips and Ships, welcome to the show. Lil Cat 51, Lisa Davis, Kitty Catty Whack, Joe Monk, Phil R, Chris Jarvis, Robert Redman, Clip Channel, Midwest Night Watchers, Guardian Jackpot, Brown Dwarf, Drew Banky, Miss Captain Jones, Deadfish She Spread, Moody Mongo, Wes Decker. And then thanks again for Magneticus gifting the sub tonight. We do appreciate that. And then also T-Bone as well. Appreciate you both and your support of the channel and what it is that we do here. Yeah, so getting into it here, we're just going to have a great show tonight. We're just going to get into whatever you want to get into, really. This show is for you guys. Let me go ahead and bring something else up here. At least have the logo up here as we get going. Okay, boom, there we go. All right. So with that being said, it's going to be a great time tonight. We're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. That's why we do this show. It's for me to not have to talk as much if I don't have to on this show, and hear from you guys. So we'll start out right now with our first person up, Mr. Icebreaker himself, none other than Area 51. How you doing, sir? Can you hear me, Juan? Okay, one is not ready yet. Not ready yet. And so somebody put a subject out there. What is the subject? Let's see. Come one. This is a hot topic. Which topic are we looking at here? Put it in the chat. What is the topic? What do you guys want? Where do you want to start here? Robert Redmond's Clip Channel. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you. Let's see. Yeah, UFOs. Christopher and his orbs. Christopher and his orbs. Christopher. This book is called UFO of God. Is that are you talking about Chris Bledsoe? I think that's who wrote that. I don't know. I'll check for you right now. Let's go ahead and check and we'll see. I think that's Chris Bledsoe. Yeah, that's Chris Bledsoe. So I haven't read the book. Sad to say. I haven't read the book to be able really to speak to what it is that he's saying. If you come up on stage, you can let me know what the topic is or what he's kind of talking about, and we can chat about that. But I have not read this book yet. Let me go ahead and bring Juan back up, see if he's ready. You there, Juan? Okay. Not ready yet. That's okay. Videos. Yeah, see, that's a thing. We have been getting hit lately about the videos for, whatever reason. Obviously, they don't care if it's fair use or not. They've been smacking us on the hand. But let's do this. Let's go on UFO Twitter. Let's see what we got. That's what we can do. Hold on here. UFO Twitter. Let me bring up some things that are going on there. All right, let me share the screen here. You guys can't really see it that well, huh? Let me see. We move the banner and we'll do this here. All right, so let's see what we can see here, right? So UFO Twitter. I'm going to look at it from this end. So let me see. See if we have anything interesting here. This was the that's what we could talk about, right? This here. This is the what Lou Elizondo presented the photo of the UFO over the city in Romania. That's what this is. That's what this is. And who in the audience right now, I just want to know how many people in the chat right now could look at this footage and immediately say that's fake or that's not real, or at least take it into question, at least want to, reconsider if they should show this to a group of people and say that this is real. This is the picture that he presented at the presentation. I can't believe that. How do you feel about that? Because I know how I feel about that. I feel like he should not have shown this. I feel that being the head of ATIP, being the head of a government program, you should have been able to look at this and say, hey, this might not be real. Let me run this by a few people, right? Who else thinks that? Was looking at this. It does appear. Oh, those are parked cars. I was going to say, okay, is that traffic or those parked cars? Those are parked cars, but still, It appears to be, from what I can tell, the middle of the day, maybe. It looks like that sunlight out there. And I'm just like, if there was something that big in the sky that one person said, oh my gosh, let me go ahead and take a picture of this, you don't think that one person would have told other people in that moment, look at this big ass UFO in the sky? Therefore, there would be multiple photos of this, or there would and at that, with that being said, that this would have made the news. Do you think that this would have probably should have been something that more people took pictures of starting, first of all? Second of all, these people would have put this or submitted this to news outlets, and then this would have been in the news. So you can't tell me that someone would take this, that you could consider that someone took this sighting privately, took this photo privately, and then it never made the news. But you can take that as, I mean, come on, make this make sense, guys. Make this make sense. What do you guys think about that? Hillbilly Herb says, I wanted to believe it, and I hope we see something like that photo for real one day, but you can't argue with the debunk. And that's just what I'm saying, right? He's supposed, I mean, and we talked about the fact that he was the head of ATIP, so he says, right? Which means he's seen so much evidence, or he should have, being in that position. If we're taking what he said at face value as being part of that program, then you would immediately think that he has seen so many examples of the stuff that is out there, right? So like for most people, I'll play devil's advocate, right? Because you can look at this and you can say, okay, the untrained eye might look at this and say, "Wow, that's real. That's a crazy photo." But if you're somebody who's on the inside in the government programs, who has seen 4K pictures, videos that have been taken with these military cameras, then you've seen some really weird stuff, and you've seen it clear enough to know kind of what to expect if someone were to present something to you. You should be not necessarily an expert on UFO photos or videos, but you should have known at least enough to be able to look at this photo and say, something isn't right about this, at the very least. Not even maybe saying immediately this is a fake, but you should have at least been able to be like, let me, looking at this photo, I've seen so many real photos of things in the air, and I know what the background was on those photos as far as it being reported, that this one right here, there's something that doesn't sit right with me. And I'm just like, you know take me through that thought process, Lou, because I want to know, did you have reservations on showing this? Did you immediately feel like, yeah, there might not be something right with this, but then you were talked into it being real? Like, was there, and that's kind of, guess, the context that we would need on something like this. Like, did he initially feel like, yeah, there's something not right about this photo, but the person in his ear is like, no, it's authentic. It came from this place. It's definitely real. It's gone through this process. And he's like, well, okay. Was there some reservation there? Because I could kind of understand that, because that means, we all know with the government, we know these misinformation campaigns, we know they try to make you believe something that isn't actually fact or isn't true. That's the whole point of doing these campaigns. So did he initially, is he kicking him? I'm sure he's kicking himself now for sure after this. But was there a thought process during that said, yeah, something isn't right about this. I don't know if I should be showing this to the public, right? But then that person he mentions that brought this to him convinces him that this is real. Like, oh man, look, they couldn't fake something like this, because this, look at the things in the photo. And Lou, not being an actual photographic expert, may have looked at it like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put it in my presentation. I could see that and I can understand that, but we would need more context. And I don't know if Lou's going to be able to do that, right? Depending on who it was that showed him this photo. Who was it? That's kind of the next page in this story. We need to know who showed him this photo. Because as it stands, even if those things we just talked about went on behind the scenes, if somebody said, talked him into, talked him out of his original thought process, which was this isn't real, and then they talked him into it, or even if they didn't, even if they presented him with the photo, said it was real, and he just ran with it, either way that goes, the brunt of that falls on his shoulders as far as public facing, right? Because now we just look at Lou and say, wow, okay, if you can make a mistake like this, then we have to kind of take what you say with a grain of salt. And that's fair because I know I've been one that said, as far as Lou goes, I appreciate what he has done so far with the coming out, making this story, one that's in the news and in the national news. Because him coming out, obviously, in 2017, if he doesn't do that, then we don't have all these stories being run on UFOs like they are now. So I guess I could still appreciate that fact of what he had done, but it takes other things. It just now, if you do that, if you don't stand up and try to rectify this right here outside of the post, because actually, let me see if I can bring up a separate window to show what his response was. I did save that. You go to Lou's page here. Lou Elizondo. Okay. Okay, let me just go back here. I want to find, because a lot of people did reach out. Give me just a moment here. Did he delete the other post? Yeah, I think he may have. As you all know, okay, here it is. Let me bring this up here. All right, is that up? Yep. Okay. So he says this is the original, I guess his original response was after this whole debacle. He says, as you all know, I am always happy to be my own worst critic. A photo that was provided to me by a friend in government a couple of years ago was presented by me 2 days ago at our engagement in Philadelphia. Looks like we can put this one to bed as our friends in Twitter figured or solved this one. Major bravo to you. Excellent work to whoever solved this one. And a big thank you. Crowdsourcing works. Now let's see if together we can figure out the rest. As folks at the show will attest, this is precisely why I showed the first few slides at the beginning with an example of a fake UAP. We must continue to be vigilant and always go where the data leads. As you know, I will always own up to any mistakes I make. A good lesson here, just because someone in government gives me something, due diligence and scrutiny is always a good idea. Onwards and upwards. So does that, in that statement, is he saying that just because someone in government gave him something, he did not think twice about what it was that he was getting? But he's a misinformation agent, so you have to know that, especially pushing this topic, you would have to know, pushing this topic, that you are a target for misinformation. So why in the world would you not do your due diligence, knowing that they've already came at you in other ways, that you might not be presented with something fake? It just doesn't, it's weird. Okay, it's just weird to start out. But he did make another post, which I have here as well. So that was his first post. And actually, let me see, what did John Greenwald say to that? John Greenwald Jr. says, what do you feel your, quote, friend in government's agenda was giving you this photo? With all of your legitimate concerns about how the government conceals UAP information, do you think you could be used to further that obfuscation by being fed false info from friends? And let me see, did he respond to that at all? And I don't see that he did, so he did not reply to that, which is, definitely if I don't know why you wouldn't, right? Why wouldn't you reply to that? So going back here, this is the second post he did, I guess same day, later in the day. And what he's saying here, I guess there's an article attached that we can go ahead and read, but this is him presenting. This is the photo. Okay, no, that's taking us to a link. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to read this first. So it says, this is Lou Elizondo later that day after the post we just read. He says, I am reposting this article for two reasons. One, that I am not afraid to say when I made a mistake. And two, I just sent this response to the journalist, was on a plane until now, but obviously too late for him to include. So I am posting my response to his question for you all to see. I have chosen to put myself out there under the microscope and expect criticism. I also realize it's very easy to sit back and judge when not knowing the full context of the situation. And I agree with that, right? So we don't know the full context. So I guess what it is below this is his response. So we'll read the article first and then go ahead and give his context here. So let me see. All right. So this is the article. Wait, you can't see that. Okay, here we go. All right. Exclusive. Pentagon chief reveals high-res photo of a UFO mothership, a huge mini city floating in the sky. An ex-Pentagon official, and this is actually to give credits, Daily Mail article by Matthew Phelan, senior science reporter for DailyMail.com. An ex-Pentagon official who gained fame for blowing the lid off a $22 million secretive government UFO program has revealed an image of an alleged UFO mothership. Luis Elizondo, a career U.S. Army counterintelligence specialist, previously ran the military's advanced aerospace threat identification program. Monday night in Philadelphia at a private UFO event, Elizondo dropped what he described as a craft looking like a mothership from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, referring to the 1977 Steven Spielberg film. Guess what we caught in Romania in 2022? By the way, the U.S. Embassy, as Elizondo told attendees at the paid event, gesturing to the photo, that. He went on to describe it as a huge mini city floating in the sky. But the UFO, which resembles a gleaming disc-shaped craft, has already drawn withering critiques from skeptics, believers, and even military UFO witnesses alike, who claim to have traced the photo to not to the U.S. Embassy, but a Facebook page. One suggested to DailyMail.com that Elizondo has been laxed in his vetting of such images in a bid to add sensational new material to his paid speaking engagements. This is him presenting the photo. If you guys can see it. That's him presenting the photo. It says Romania 2022 under the photo. And it says ex-Pentagon official Luis Elizondo, who gained fame for blowing the lid off $22 million secretive government UFO program, has revealed an image of a UFO mothership. Below that, just another picture of it, a little closer, and it doesn't look real. He says, guess what we caught in Romania in 2022? By the way, the U.S. Embassy, as Elizondo told attendees at the paid event, gesturing to the photo, that. Veteran U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Jeremy McGowan, who witnessed a dramatic UFO encounter himself in the Middle East decades ago, told DailyMail.com that Elizondo's dubious mothership UFO fits a pattern with the man's past claims. This unfortunate situation with Lou, this is a quote from Jeremy McGowan. This unfortunate situation with Lou follows my experiences with him nearly exactly, McGowan said. I witnessed him exaggerate or outright fabricate information that simply wasn't true. Elizondo unveiled the 2022 Romanian UFO photo at an October 28, 2024 event. held at the City Winery, a wine bar in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for $50 to $30 per ticket. Quote, there's a whole lot more here, folks, Elizondo told the audience in a leaked clip. I just want to give you kind of a small taste of what's going on, quote, behind the scenes. We're having pilots, military pilots, and civilian pilots in Eastern Europe and in the Middle East report what unimaginably seems impossible, as Elizondo began to explain his real photo of a UFO. They described it literally the mothership, Elizondo said. But despite credible federal reports of mothership UFOs over domestic U.S. military sites investigated by the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, and FBI task force, the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, and 16 local sheriff's offices, internet sleuths quickly managed to poke holes in Elizondo's 2022 Romanian UFO. John Greenwald Jr., a longtime government transparency advocate who runs the Black Vault, quickly traced the photo back to a September 13th, 2023 post in a Facebook group titled Mysterious Ancient Discoveries. And there is the post in Facebook right there from September 2023. John Greenwald, let's see. This is it further up close. And it just doesn't look real. It just doesn't look real. Like, what is... That's the part that bugs me. I reverse image searched it, Greenwald posted on X. It got more than 182,000 likes and more than 23,700 comments. The higher resolution image of this apparent mothership, which at first glance to be piercing clouds with this beatific shafts of light, appears more likely to have originated as the reflection of an indoor chandelier lamp reflected in window glass. The placement of Romania's coal-fired arid power station indicates the image was not taken from the U.S. Embassy, but a building near the Mureș River a few miles away. America's embassy in Romania is roughly 400 miles to the southeast of Arad and the capital city of Bucharest. While dedicated UFO skeptics were eager to pounce on Elizondo's inaccurate claims, UFO enthusiasts also expressed frustration over this episode. Lou is 100% using us as pawns to line his pockets, one contributor to the Reddit forum Are UFOs Lamented. His most recent book was #1 seller in the nation. It's muddying the waters and detracting from the important combo, another opinioned. By midday Wednesday, Elizondo was publicly attributing the error to a friend in government who provided him with the photo a couple of years ago. Retired USAF or United States Air Force Staff Sergeant McGowan, however, told DailyMail.com that Elizondo's error was far from a one-off mistake. I've been on the receiving end where Lou has pulled out his cell phone and shown me what he described as highly classified video, McGowan told DailyMail.com. For him to think I would believe he would simply carry classified info on an unsecure civilian cell phone is just insulting, he added. And it wasn't just me. Multiple podcast hosts were shown video Lou attributed to things they were not. For the past 2 years, McGowan has been notably public about this incident in which Elizondo showed him what he claimed was, in McGowan's words, a highly secret video smuggled out of Russia taken by a Soviet Union probe near Mars. The video, as McGowan recollected to DailyMail.com, looked to be decades-old public UFO video from the Soviets' Phobos 2 probe, released by retired Soviet Air Force Colonel Marina Popovich in 1991. Elizondo had shown the video to McGowan in hushed tones in January 2021. While Popovich wrote a book about her own UFO encounters as a test pilot, long maintained the Phobos 2 video depicted a legitimate alien aircraft, the odd video had nevertheless been public for about 3 decades, in other words. There is a striking similarity between that public video and what Lou showed me on his phone, McGowan recollected. Only saw it for a few seconds, he said, so the granular details didn't get absorbed. McGowan, whose duties in the Air Force included service in Desert Storm, attached to Joint Special Operations Command, or JSOC, and drug enforcement missions in Colombia, has been public for years on his own UFO encounter. And I guess this is an article here. What is this? This is the video, I guess, from 1991, the one that's public that he spoke about. In the mid 90s, while serving as a member of JSOC J2 security team for Ellipse Foxtrot, McGowan says he was a witness to unusual aerial lightings appearing to survey a highly classified cargo container he had been tasked with guarding in the desert. He spoke to the History Channel about his UFO sighting in the Mideast for the 2020 docuseries Unidentified, which had been hosted by Luis Elizondo. As McGowan recollected about his appearance on the show in a Medium blog post, he had agreed to this on-camera interview in the hopes of getting back in touch with other witnesses to the event, but felt used by the experience. I was supposed to be introduced to investigators and researchers who could help me identify the person with me on that dune when I saw what I saw, he wrote in 2022. I left with no answers. I sent a few emails to production that were ignored, and I was never extended the courtesy that he promised. And this is the, let's see. All right. It's the Blue Elizondo post we just read. Federal government concerned about mothership UFOs harboring swarms of drones as spilled out to public view following release of internal reports via the U.S. Freedom of Information Act in recent years. Weeks of reporting on mystery drones swept the... Wait, is this a totally separate article? Let me see. No. Okay. Yep. Federal government concerned about mothership UFOs harboring swarms of drones has spilled into the public view following the release of internal reports via the U.S. Freedom of Information Act in recent years. Weeks of reports of mystery drones swept eastern Colorado and nearby areas in Nebraska, Wyoming, and Kansas over the winter holidays of 2019 into the new year. The sightings worried citizens and local law enforcement alike, but odd craft and their motherships troubled the U.S. military, especially for their proximity to some of America's sensitive nuclear-equipped intercontinental ballistic missiles. They all seem clustered in an area that has quite a few Minuteman sites, a redacted official confessed in one email released by FOIA by F.E. Warren Air Force Base. F.E. Warren security staff spoke to local sheriff's deputies who reported seeing a mothership 6 feet in diameter flanked by 10 smaller drones, some fixed wings, some not. When deputies followed the drones, they clocked them at speeds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, the redacted base officially stated. All right. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and read this here. So via a publicist with this book publisher, HarperCollins, Elizondo delivered a response to the story via email at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. The lengthy response, which had been previously posted to social media, can be read on Elizondo's profile. So let me go ahead and read that now. So Elizondo's response is, my response to the journalist who wrote this article: controversy is nothing new to those who research and study the mystery of UAPs. Controversy can sometimes provide additional insight and is a healthy part of disclosure. From the beginning of my endeavors 7 years ago, I have pledged my complete commitment towards transparency and inviting the public to help solve some of these mysteries. As early as 2017, while still at the Pentagon, I facilitated the release of the now famous Navy UAP videos to help get public's assistance to figure out what we in the government could not. My efforts to engage the public are now certainly no different. To illustrate this point, most recently I gave a presentation where at the beginning I spent several minutes explaining the necessity to ensure we disclosure advocates do our very best at ensuring we remain objective and our own worst critics. I then used an example of a recent video taken which appears compelling at first, but I then deconstruct elements of the video using artificial intelligence to highlight the reality that the object in the video is in fact not a UAP, and emphasize to the audience the need for increased diligence as we analyze future videos, pictures, and media. I believe objective analysis is critical, whether one is a diehard skeptic or a true believer. And I'll talk more about that. Let me actually, diehard skeptic or true believer. It's funny that he uses those terms because that's something that I talk about a lot on this channel, actually. Towards the end of the presentation, I later showed a photograph provided to me by a former colleague in the U.S. government. Unfortunately, the photo that was provided to me was not suitable for the AI analysis given the limitations of the AI prototype. The photo was said to have been properly vetted, and I took it at face value. Fortunately, some users on social media were able to find a logical explanation for the photograph. Getting public engagement is precisely one of my motivations in sharing these types of photos. The fact that we now have individuals in social media with the expertise and willingness to conduct the much needed analysis is extremely encouraging to me and is welcome news, in my opinion. As such, I think this further illustrates why the public should remain fully informed of all developments. As for me, I am grateful for the public's help in resolving this case. Furthermore, this reinforces the notion that we must all remain vigilant and always question the data, including myself, even when that data may be coming from the government. So, some of the responses to this, we had UAP1 saying, Lou, there's no need. If folks can't comprehend the big picture ahead of what you were doing, then it's up to them to get up to speed. Disclosure onward. Parsi X, which we know, Parsi X, says, Lou Elizondo, sir, you don't owe SHIT to anyone. The debunker trolls have nothing better to do than attack anyone working towards disclosure. No matter what you do, they will never be happy. Please know that you are appreciated, and hopefully one day we'll have some answers to the phenomenon. Let's see. Is there anyone who's critical? Let me see. Awesome statement. No need, no need. Don't sweat it, Lou. Lou, ignore the haters. You don't need to explain anything, Lou. I think it was a good thing for us to learn from this experience. Come on now. Maybe the person that gave you the photo just so it caused doubt since you have come so far. Whoever it was, don't trust them again. I agree with that. Let's see. Lou, these things happen in the field. Could you provide a recommendation? So all this stuff. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we can back off of that. So I don't know what you guys think about that. The way I look at it is there's no way that you as a presenter and as in some cases, whether people like it or not, a face kind of the UFO conversation. I mean, he's the one that's picked for, to talk about things in front of major audiences like this private event. Amongst other things, you should have on your team at least someone to vet some of this stuff. Like instead of social media being the ones to kind of look at it and say, and do the research on it, you should have someone already on your team that does this. You should have someone, period, on your team that vets anything that you put out because it reflects poorly on your name, on your what I'm trying to think of, your credibility. So all those things. So you would think there would be a process for him releasing anything, even with Jeremy Corbell, right? He says that they before he releases anything, he checks sources, he does these things, even though that 29 Palms video was people said it was nothing but flares. He at least says that he has a process of vetting that he goes through before he actually releases the photo or video that he has. And I just think why rush, and not even rush, I guess, right? Because he said he had it for 2 years. So within 2 years, you didn't show it to anyone within your own circle that you could say, hey, what do you think about this? Or I don't know. It just doesn't smell right. I don't know what you guys think. Oh man. I don't know what you think. Let's see. Welcome to the show, says Lou Lovers. He edits his comments. Um, Polly Roderman, exactly. Christine, that's right, Rob. T-Bone, Mr. Rob G, your thoughts on the Nixon and Gleason? Oh, paying to see the bodies. I heard that a little differently, T-Bone, and we could talk about that. Yeah, definitely. We can go into that. I'll keep that up here. Uh, just keep in mind when someone in our history has come out with any real news about UFOs, it has been ridiculed, which is true. Which is true. Um, Polly, we the simple people are double checking everything. So why didn't he do it? Unbelievable, right? That's all I'm saying. There's no way, and I'll just speak for myself. Like I brought you the things that I've captured 100% authentic. And actually, but what I did before I posted anything on social media, before I told anyone about my UFO sighting, I put it on Twitter. Put it on Twitter so people could look it over. Mick West ended up taking a look at it, and he was wrong in what he said. But I put it out there for the skeptics to chew apart before I stamped it as, I said, hey, this is weird. I saw these things with my own eyes. I know what they look like. I know they're not this, or this. But does anybody seen this before? Does anybody know what this is? I put it out there so it can be vetted. And I think that's what you should do. So maybe that's what he should have did here. If you don't have a person in your circle, is go ahead and just say, hey, social media world, I had this photo, I had this, it might be authentic, it might not, and let them look at it. And then if no one can answer to what it is, or they can't debunk it, then you go ahead and stand behind it and double down on it. Um, let's see. Purposefully targeted to make a farce. And let me see, let me bring that up here. Tag this for T-Bone. And Lovey Love, purposely targeted to make a farce on an embarrassment for someone to debunk what you heard, because Lord, we can't have this getting out. Yeah. Let's see. Christine saying he should have professionals looking at every frame of that pic. And I hope going forward he does that. I mean, because you should have learned from this. There shouldn't be anything else that comes from Lou Elizondo that has not been vetted or looked at by some sort of, not even professional, but just a few different people at least. And okay, all right, looking good. So we'll just wrap this up as far as thoughts on Lou Elizondo. I just can't believe it. I'll just say, like I said before, you got to tell us who, and if it's a person in government, it looks like you can't. And it looks like that might be why you said, and you specifically let us know that it was someone within the government that gave you that, because then how can we ask a question? Because it's someone within the government. So I told you it was someone in the government. I can't talk about who it was. Well, I hope at least on a personal level, between you and that person, whoever it is, if you're never able to release a name, at least I hope you hold them accountable between you and them. I hope you let them know, or you dig in yourself to find out what that person's agenda was. Why would they have presented you with a obviously fake photo? Was it a setup? Was it to set you up because they felt like you were gullible enough to believe the photo was real and go show it to the public, therefore knowing that it would wreck your credibility? So was it something like that? Because, if that's the case, you should probably be kicking the ass of that person next time you see him, for sure. Or Let me see. The only other perspective I can have on that is, yeah, I guess just being ignorant or naive enough to believe that you wouldn't be targeted for a disinformation campaign when you sort of did that in your professional life. And you talked about in your book that just came out about instances where you have been targeted, and so it doesn't make sense that you would do this after the book came out. I'm trying to come to terms with this and try to, maybe put a silver lining to it and say, hey, it wasn't Lou's fault, or, you know, it could happen to anyone, sort of thing, but there's just not enough. I can't. There's nothing that I can grasp onto that would help me, give that outlook on this. It just seems like, something that shouldn't have happened. Anyone with any common sense that isn't a professional video or photo, researcher or expert should be able to look at this UFO and say that's fake. That's fake. Because if you showed it to me, I'd be like, Lou, that's fake. You better not show that. You better not show that, Lou. That is fake. But okay. So it is what it is. That's his credibility. If he doesn't want to do anything about it, or if he wants to leave it here, let it be where it stands. That's the dirt is on his name. And going forward, he kind of has to just deal with that and not be surprised if no one calls him to do a presentation again, or if he doesn't get the call to speak about the subject anymore. Like you're gonna let the whoever this person is wreck your credibility and kind of leave you, not respected in this field, which is sad. But if you allow that to happen, then that's what it is. Because if it was me, I would be like, this person gave me this photo. Because then if we know who that person is, we could do some research on that person to see what motive that person would have to do that. So very sad, and just tragic. It's really tragic. So looking at T-Bone was asked and said, Mr. Rob G, your thoughts on Nixon and Gleason paying to see the bodies? I didn't know that they paid. What I heard was, the story goes is that because they were good friends, um, and obviously Nixon was the president at the time, that he may have said to Jackie Gleason, "Hey, you want to see something?" And then he said, "Yeah," and he took him on a plane on Air Force One, and they flew into Area 51 apparently, where they went in and made. And the thought is that Gleason was shown bodies, that they went to see bodies. I don't know how I feel about that story. Although the what they're pointing to as proof is that um, Gleason, kind of built this spaceship home afterwards, and came really like obsessed with aliens and UFOs. So maybe it's a result of that. I don't know that. If you're seeing an alien body, I don't know that the first thing you do is become obsessed with UFOs and build a UFO home. It should be something that changes you as far as just the person that you are. I don't know if it creates an obsession. You know what I mean? That's the only question I have when I hear that story. And then that they went to Area 51 of all places. Like Area 51 is going to be the place to find the UFOs. It's going to be the place where they store the bodies. It's going to be the place where all the evidence is for UFOs. When I don't feel like it would be centralized in that way. And but it's really hard to say. I don't know if there's any way to really kind of parse that out. I don't know where you would go to get any further evidence outside of the story that we heard, you know? And I don't know, do you think that they would have gave Nixon, uh, allowed him to just, do you think a president, and maybe they can, I don't know. Do you think a president could just say, hey, I'm going to fly into Area 51, and then when I get there, I'm going to just go anywhere within the facility that I want? Is the clearance level, does it meet the president? Can the president do that? I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess having answers to those questions, we'd probably be able to think through this a little better, but just not sure, man. I'm just not sure. Let me bring up that actually Nixon and Gleason. And that's the thing about being a critical thinker, right? Because there's so many people like just true just believers will just take that story and be like, yeah, he went and saw aliens, right? Because there was a story told. And so instead of, having a skeptical approach or outlook to say, hey, did it really happen? And then, well, I need to see these things. You have true believers that'll just eat the story up and say it happened pretty much because why else would someone tell that story? And that's kind of the wrong approach to this subject. You have to be, willing to question things. And there's just too many things perfect about this story that line up that make me feel like in a perfect world, maybe, but it sounds like a great story. So let me just find a reference to this, see who wrote this story. See, let's see here. See, someone wrote a book about it, but then you have websites like Skeptoid and How Stuff Works are the ones where you're finding the articles on this. So, where did this story first come out? Was it ever written in an actual paper, or was this just like an old wives' tale? Let me see what William Shatner. Somebody asked William Shatner 7 years ago. Let me see if he responded. So William Shatner posted, according to this Twitter post back in 2017, he said Gleason said Nixon showed him the Roswell aliens. This is coming from William Shatner. Then someone replied to him and just said, just a random person says, at William Shatner, did Jackie Gleason really have pictures of aliens? Do people assume you know every celebrity in Hollywood? No response. I don't see anything from William Shatner. So, yeah. Yeah, I guess his wife, it says somebody put right here, and I heard this as well, says some lady says, that's a true story. Gleason's wife said it took a long time for him to get back to his old self. And I've heard that too, this part of the story, but I don't know if there's anything enough out there where you could really grasp from anything but, theories and what people said. Sounds interesting. Uh, oh, was it Homestead Air Force Base? That's what the story says, right? But who's the originator of the tale? Because I heard it was Area 51, wasn't it? Let me see. Which president? Let me just picked up. Yeah, took him to Homestead, Florida. Okay. So I'll read this. Yeah. So it says original question: which president took Jackie Gleason to see a UFO alien? This is on Quora. Said none. The story is simply made up. Jackie Gleason's second wife, Beverly, told the National Enquirer the absolute bedrock of journalistic integrity in 1983, that February 19th, 1973, President Nixon drove to Gleason's house and picked him up and took him to Homestead, Florida to see aliens. There's several holes in this story. The last president to drive on public roads was LBJ. Do you really think the Secret Service would not been with Richard Nixon anytime he was in a car? How can anyone logically think the Secret Service would have missed Richard Nixon for 2 to 3 hours? This whole idea that Nixon by himself would have driven Jackie Gleason to see aliens is simply preposterous. This is really a super stupid idea. Those who believe such nonsense are imbeciles or super dumbasses. Good God, the idiocy ever end on the core. He makes some valid points there. He makes some valid points. Let me see. I think that's a mic drop moment, right? See if there's any other different perspectives, but that was a good one. Um, However, unfortunately, Gleason recognized that. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you say to that? No president has the clearance, okay, to go into like Area 51 and just do what they want to do. Okay, that's good to know. Um, this has been a UFO. Oh, I think I see somebody backstage. Let me go ahead and grab them up here. Secret Service. Yeah. Yeah, the driving him by himself without Secret Service, that makes heck of sense. I don't know. What do you think about that, Lovey Love? Oh, okay, okay. All right, don't worry about it. Okay, she's just hanging out. You can hear, just so when you're backstage, you can hear the show like you're backstage, so you can hear everything. So she's just hanging out. Okay, yeah, no president has a clearance. And just looking at that, that makes sense though. I never thought about that. So would he been able to just drive on his own without any Secret Service? It doesn't. You don't think? No, probably not. Probably not. A lot of times I've heard this story and I've never heard that critical part of it, right? And that makes a lot of sense. I really don't think should be been able to do that. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and get this laughable Lou Elizondo UFO off the screen. Just sift through UFO Twitter, just kind of see if there's anything out there. Let's see. No politics. Wait, what is that? What are they trying to say? There's so many fake videos on Twitter that is just, I don't know if this is. Yeah, this is apparently something from Brazil. What do you guys think? Fake or real? Let's just do fake or real. That's so obviously fake. Christine says, "Okay, I get it. I can feel that." They have a lot of stuff like that on UFO Twitter. See if we can get away. Ah, man, it's so tough. I keep getting flagged, man. Let's just see if
came from the sky and these giants and the Anunnaki and the deciphering of all those ancient tablets. And he's got a lot of information on that. Those things are fascinating because it's all the same stories even back then. These flying ships and all these different depictions of things that came from the sky and these giants and the Anunnaki and all these different things that came from some other place that had interaction with human beings. And
yeah, he kind of like mixes it with biblical stuff, right? That's kind of, I don't know, that's what I lean towards with all this stuff, to be honest with you, is maybe I think there's some consciousness aspect. I think there's I think it is the afterlife.
Whoa, let's talk about that. Sean Ryan tells Joe Rogan he thinks UFOs are the afterlife. That's kind of what our guest today was getting into a little bit. What do you guys think about that? Why would they be in craft though? If it's the afterlife, are you telling me you need craft in the afterlife? Is there anybody that agrees with Sean Ryan there? The UFOs are the afterlife? Doesn't make sense to me. Juliana, you believe that? I don't know. Explain to me how. Give me perspective on it, because that's with a good perspective, I could potentially agree with you on that. Lovey Love's like, who can say? Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, right? But it doesn't make sense. Oh, you agree with me? Okay. Yeah, no, yeah, you shouldn't need craft in the afterlife. Doesn't make sense. I would love more context on what it was he was trying to get to on that. Projectile hitting truck at half speed. Metal sphere crashes into truck. Well, let's take a look. See. Could be space junk. Likely space junk, I would think, if anything. I don't think there's anything anomalous about that. Is this the aftermath of that thing that hit the truck? Oh, wow. Okay. Let's look at that. This is the aftermath of whatever that was.
Salinas, California. Check this out. Someone in Salinas is shooting projectiles, explosives. Check this out, fellas. This is not a firework. Whatever hit this, it even blew out the glass on this truck. That's nuts.
Wow.
Salinas, California. Check this out. Someone in Salinas is shooting projectiles, explosives. Check this out, fellas. This is not a firework. Whatever hit this, it even blew out the glass on this truck. That's nuts.
Whoa. Did you hear that? Jesus Christ. What? That is insane. What the hell was it? That's OMG. You could clearly hear that's going super sonic speeds. Listen to that. What in the world? Jesus. I wonder, they had to find debris. You kind of see it bounce off the truck and go back a little bit. This has to be, they've had to uncover what it was. It had to be on the scene. That is just mind blowing, dude. Oh my God. You can see it kind of bounce off the back of the truck. So it should be back there somewhere. Damn, Jesus. I wonder what that was. I wonder if you could find. Let me see if there's anything about that in the news. That is insane, dude. Just looking right now online. Let's see. Projectile truck. Ah, okay. This is the explanation for it. Right here. This is what they're saying here. See, did it switch over? Commercial grade firework puts hole in semi truck, Salinas police said. So they're saying that was a commercial grade firework. Salinas police are investigating after commercial grade firework blew a hole in a semi truck. The video shows a projectile being shot in the air. Another angle inside a semi truck shows a boom that forces the inside to shake. After you can see the hole left behind and a window blown out from another nearby semi truck. People online speculated what the projectile could have been, saying a firework was not capable of leaving that kind of damage. Through the investigation so far and conferring with outside professionals, we were able to determine that it was possibly a commercial grade firework that caused this damage. We want to be clear that this is not a bottle rocket style firework. Think more the level of a city putting on a paid 4th of July firework show, said Salinas police via social media. Police believe this was not a targeted attack and there is no further threat to the public. Nobody was injured during this incident. What do people say? What do people out there say? My question, if it was a city sized firework, like professional grade, like they're saying, don't they have a climax, right? Where when they explode, don't they boom? Or is there a situation where maybe they wouldn't boom? This seemed like it was something that didn't explode, right? So is it just a projectile that didn't get a chance to explode? Because if that's the case, there should be remnants of that on the scene. They should be able to find powder or they should be able to find something from that. But it didn't seem like it didn't explode, is what I'm trying to say. We didn't get an explosion. So could it be commercial grade fireworks just kind of crashing in before it exploded and kind of just, but would hitting the truck cause the explosion? Or if it were to break up before that, there was no fire. Well, at least there, when it hit the impact, you would think if it did break up, that the debris or something about it should have exploded. You would think there should be some fire to it, but maybe not. Not a commercial grade fireworks specialist, so I wouldn't be able to say. Oh, wait, we got somebody else in the back here. I didn't see you for a minute, but I see you now. Polly Rodderman is in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Polly, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Just hearing you and having fun as usual. So
Yeah.
just want
yeah.
to say hello.
What did you think about what you just saw? What do you think
Wow,
that was?
I'm so related to those kind of sounds, unfortunately, because of the place I live,
Yeah.
It sounded for me like kind of a drone. I was thinking about the shrapnels maybe that fell there. The explosion sounds huge, usually after a drone attack. So I'm not sure about that. I want to double check their information, which Elizondo didn't do. So here we go.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Talk about that. What did you think about that? Lou Elizondo and the fake photo.
Look, I don't want to judge him. I don't want to attack him or something. My personal feeling is I feel really sad about what happened here. Just because he's been through a lot.
Mhm.
And inside the community, there are people that believed in him and didn't believe in him. But there were those like me trying to support him and, making our best just to support his story and what was going on. I think what happened here was a huge mistake. He shot his foot here. Like, it's what I said before. Simple people like us are double checking everything. Every time there is a new sighting, we are looking for information, AI possibilities, checking this stuff
True.
is getting tougher and tougher because of AI and so many lies all around it. So, especially coming from him, I would have expected like a double check. It wasn't so hard. Just go to Google and try to find it. There is even a name for this atmospheric phenomenon. So I don't know, man. What did you do? And now try to fix this up again. You know, so it's
If I
sad.
brought
It's
that, if I brought that to you, I said, Polly, look at this photo. This is a UFO. I'm going to put it out to the world. I mean, what is your first thought when you saw the photo? Were you like, oh, that could be a UFO? Or like, what did you think when you first saw it? Or was it like, nah, that's not, because I feel like, especially with the Romania photos, the Russia photos, there's the one they always show this huge pyramid floating over the Kremlin and it's kind of turning very slowly. And I'm like, if you
yes,
show that to me, I'm gonna immediately go into question about that. I'm gonna want to ask questions about the authenticity because you would figure something that's big like that is gonna either one be photographed by other people, or if it was photographed by the one person, they would have submitted that information to the local news because it should be a big deal.
exactly. Exactly. And that's my point too. Look, he comes from the government. Through history, we have had so many sightings that he could confirm. Instead of going for these huge kind of mothership craft, that can also be easily found as an atmospherical phenomenon, you know, he could have just picked up something smaller, some case that we are more related to it, and confirm it. And I think that way he could have earned also more people trusting him and supporting him. But he went just for a picture that he didn't check up, that it looks like a huge thing that, you know, it can be anything, including AI. So why specifically that picture? And you didn't even check it up, man. It's the minimum you should have done. So I'm hurt. I'm really hurt here.
I'm with you. And with your accent, you just make it sound even more ridiculous that he didn't do this. It's just like, it's like he should have. It's a minimum he should have done. And I'm going to show everybody the video that I'm talking about. That when I see that, it makes me think of this. And then people immediately should have known that this was a fake. This is from, looks like December 2009, and this is the UFO over Moscow. People, let me bring this up here. This was a thing. This reminds me of this. And so him being part of ATIP, he should have known about this video because it kind of went viral when it first came out. It was all over YouTube. It was everywhere. And people were saying these pyramids over. Right. But, you know, this is as big as the other object that he's saying that he was presenting. And it just anything big like that, you got to bring into question because everyone should have seen it, or at least a group of people, or at least someone else. And there should be other videos of it, other photos, and it should have been something.
So many witnesses. Yes. Now, I am not, you know, we are related to this issue. So we can suppose that motherships exist, okay? And maybe there are real huge crafts outside and inside Earth. It's fine. You know, I'm not saying they don't exist. They do probably. But why picking up exactly this one? This was too huge in order to be confirmed when you can just Google it and find the information. That is why this is really sad. I think I don't know how is he going to recover from this stuff right now.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard. And the thing is, like I said, don't tell us if you can't. Don't tell us who it is. I would like to know if you can, though. If it's not classified, you know, to say who the person was, then tell us who it is just so we know who to look out for is someone that would be obviously part of some sort of misinformation campaign. Because what if this same person that showed him this is showing other people things within the community to try to get them to all put out this false data to kind of, you know, make them look silly? Because, yeah, now at the end of the day, the people who support Lou, and, you know, I've talked good about some of the stuff that he's done. But for, you know, now at this point, because he's wrecked his credibility, that's one off the list. Now, who are they going to work on next? David Grush now makes me, you know, kind of concerned about David Grush.
Yeah, this is scary now. Oh my God. Because we don't know what to expect anymore.
Yeah. Is some of what if David Grush got some of this information that he came out and talked about from that source too? You know what I mean, in the government, and then that would be a sad situation to find that out. So it actually opens up a rabbit hole when you think about it, because who else has this government official spoken to and given information that they said was real to this individual? And that's why I say this moment is bigger than it seems. Like people can sit up and be like, you made a mistake. But it's like this type of mistake, or allowing this person who gave you this to just receive it from them without vetting the information when you know that they're misinforming and the government is doing things to you actively to ruin your credibility. Like just this, how does it
Exactly,
not pass the sniff?
exactly. And I'm not saying I'm cutting the guy and that's it. I killed the guy and I don't want to believe him anymore. I want to see where this is taking us, because this made me also, if I'm normally double checking everything, now this needs to be like a 5 checking everything. And that's our job. So I think anyway, we made a great job discovering that this picture was fake for the whole community. Because anyway, we're looking for transparency and we're looking for the truth. And that's the only thing we were expecting from him. People paid to go and see your, whatever you were talking about. And you just came with this picture that, like, what the hell are you doing, man? Really? After all you've been through? And we were here supporting you. So why like this? This is not fair, not for him, not for us. But
That's why we need to have somebody come on the back end of that, and we need a Corbell, somebody that has the real stuff to come out and show something. And it's like, or we have the hearing coming up on the 13th, so maybe
yes,
we get something out of that. So maybe because the way it seems and the way it's been playing out in ufology is whenever there's a move like this that seems like it sets us back, usually right after that, someone who has some data comes forward to kind of counter the the step we took back. So hopefully, within this hearing coming up, there's something about it, or they haven't announced who the people testifying are, which I'm still waiting to hear. And then, but I did hear from what they're saying is that it should be something that changes everything. That's what Corbell said, at least, if you want to believe what Jeremy Corbell said.
and I have another, I think like every coin has two sides. And sometimes it's not like I want to excuse him. I don't know what really happened here. But I cannot put aside the fact that maybe, only maybe, this was kind of an inside job made in purpose just to make him look like he's looking now, kind of stupid after all what happened. So I don't know if this was made in purpose for him too. That's why I say, look, your responsibility here is huge. So even your agents, you need to check up that guy or those guys around you, because there are many people trying to ruin your life and your credibility. So this Elizondo guy cannot trust no one. And that's why you need to double check everything. So was this like a contra work against him from his own people? I don't know, but it can be also a possibility to make him look bad as he's looking right now.
And then you'd have to ask also, is this person, how long has it, well, obviously at least a couple of years, because he said he had received the video or the photo 2 years ago. But you'd have to go even further than that. And then that's why whoever this person is so important, because was it a person that was involved with ATIP too, that was also in the UFO program? Why did you feel so okay not having to vet it? Because this person came from UFO program too. So you figured this was going to be good data. Now, is that a reason why? Because if it is, then you'd have to question how long he's known the person. Now, then if it goes back to when he was still in ATIP, then you'd have to wonder if this person gave you good or bad information while you were in ATIP, some of the information that originally
Exactly.
came out. But even if none of that connects, now because of making the mistake, now those questions are open, right? Now
Exactly.
which is the problem. Which is the problem.
I
But
just agree with every word. That's exactly the point. Even if this was given from someone that he knew even for years inside the government, everything is so compart. I can never pronounce this word in English. You know, everything is so cubical. The people don't know exactly who are they working with and the information they carry with him or with them, you know. So maybe this was from his own people. I don't know. But still, like, huge mistake. Huge, huge. We need to recover from here.
now, this is good or bad news, right? This story right here. This is Corbell talking about. We knew about the hearing, but then he had came out and said something about, they didn't want to let the names out because they didn't want to spook or risk those people not testifying or being threatened. But this is the only place I can find. I'm sure it's on other pages because I heard him talk about it. But this says journalist claims witnesses are stopped from testifying at UFO congressional hearing. It just says November 13th is set to be a huge day for alien enthusiasts as Congress has scheduled a hearing on UFOs, which are officially known as unidentified aerial phenomena or UAPs. The hearing, led by Rep. Nancy Mace, is expected to feature several government officials and UAP experts and will likely address the several unexplained aerial sightings that have occurred around military bases over the last year. Some in the alien believer community think that this hearing could finally confirm that the government knows about the existence of extraterrestrials who have visited Earth. However, Jeremy Corbell, a documentarian and journalist who covers all things aliens, says that the powers that be are already trying to silence people scheduled to speak at the hearing. And a quote, "We are in a crisis right now of journalism in America, and there are a lot of attempts right now to stop witnesses, firsthand whistleblowers to UAP, from testifying," Corbell told NBC News. So this must be on NBC as well. Corbell didn't name anyone specifically, but he said that these firsthand witnesses are facing pressure to not reveal what they know. That said, he believes that the hearing won't be stopped and that the word is going to catch up really soon. This is the message that's already been said by Representative Nancy Mace, Corbell explained. Come hell or high water, the hearing is on. Nothing can stop it now. Nothing can, and truth and significant transparency regarding UAP is unstoppable. So, what the American and global public does with that, that's up to them. Gadi Schwartz asked Corbell about the Pentagon's response to the dozens of unidentified drones that were spotted flying above Langley Air Force Base in Virginia for several weeks at the end of last year. A spokesperson noted that the drones, quote, didn't appear to exhibit hostile intent, but reassured the media that it was something we have kept our eye on. So yeah, so no let me see. This is let me see if there's more to this here. Blah, 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 blah.
It's not simple because these people are under lots of pressure. And let's say the big picture, kind of the government has already said that they are here, you know, but they are not willing to tell us exactly what kind of technology we already have in our hands. Just because of national security matters, you know, they don't want, if this is not alien technology, but our technology, we don't want other countries knowing what we have. I get it. So the pressure is huge. And I hope our whistleblowers just will be, I hope they will be okay. And they won't get frightened enough to just get a step back because we need them. This is so important.
And let's listen to what he said. This is what he
This hearing, what kind of testimony could we see there? Right. So we are in a crisis right now of journalism in America. And there are a lot of attempts right now to stop witnesses, firsthand whistleblowers to UAP, from testifying. Now, we also have people fighting to allow for that. So the world, one way or the highway, is going to catch up really soon about UAP. George Knapp, my mentor in journalism, and I have been giving briefings on the Hill as recently as today, watching this unfold, just like everybody else at home. I will tell you this. This is the message, and it's already been said by Representative Nancy Mace. Come hell or high water, the hearing is on. Nothing can stop it now. Nothing can. And truth and significant transparency regarding UAP is unstoppable. So what the American and global public does with that, that's up to them.
Jeremy, if I can, I want to play a bit of what the Pentagon said about those drones flying over Langley, the situation over Langley, if you don't mind. Take a look.
The number of those UAS incursions did fluctuate on any given day, but they didn't appear to exhibit any hostile intent. It's something that we, have kept our eye on.
So when you hear didn't appear to indicate hostile intent, what goes through your mind?
Right. So Gotti, I think for your audience, I could sit here and I could answer your questions, but I think their questions will be answered soon enough with these hearings, the 13th of November, because they're going to happen. And I'd just like to say to your audience, as a journalist in America, I fear no thing real or fictitious, and I embrace the truth, no matter how challenging that is for people to process. So look, man, UFOs, UAP, there are incursions on sensitive military installations. In fact, I've reported with George Knapp and you, Gotti, a lot about that. But that is a small, tiny piece of opaque glass in a larger mosaic of what UAP represent or could represent to the American and global public. I do have one message that I want to leave you with today, Gotti, and this is for every whistleblower, every American patriot who has come to me as an American journalist and who has put trust in me and George Knapp. It's actually from a song by a guy called Livingston. I just learned this song. Here's what it conveys. Do not fear the truth. Fear is just your own shadow on the floor, and don't forget it. So listen, Gotti, we're going to have a different conversation after and on November 13th, because we are having congressional hearings on UFOs, and the world is going to learn things they didn't know before. And I do hope that you have solid individuals sitting there in that chair. And I think with Representative Nancy Mace at the helm, people that are heroes for this in the UAP caucus are going to make sure of it.
Fingers crossed. November 13th. Maybe we'll get some straight answers then. Jeremy Corbell, thanks so much for taking the time with us today.
So how did that make you feel?
Wow, he sounds so optimistic about the information that we are going to get, that I'm wondering what exactly he knows that we still don't know, especially because these people, even if they are whistleblowers, they still are under disclosure agreement. So how much are they really going to tell us? Like he talks like, the huge revelation. For me, it's like we're going to see pictures of reverse technology in Area 51. That's what we want to see. We want to know the technology. What do we have in our hands? Other than that, we would just be talking about the same things that we already know. So he sounds so optimistic that it's kind of scary. I don't know.
It is kind of scary, and you're exactly right. So he sounds very optimistic. It definitely sounds like he knows who these people who are going to testify are. It almost sounds like he knows what they're going to present during the hearing.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. So it would be bad for him to sell it like he's doing right now, and then it'd be a nothing burger. So I'm going to be until, but there's been history. You can look back in the past where right before something happens, the other hearings and things that he said he had insight on or knowledge of, he kind of sold sort of like this too. But truthfully, I've never seen him present it in this way. He's saying on November 13th, things should change, like perspective. So you have to wonder what is going to happen. And then, with that being said, is it just coincidence that Lou Elizondo brings out this super obviously fake photo 2 weeks before whatever this new revelation is going to be? Was that done to kind of take the wind out of these sails for what's going to happen on November 13th? Because now, if there's a fake photo, maybe these people are coming to present 4K video or photo of something they captured, and it's going to, without a doubt, say these things are here. But then now that we have the fake photo by Lou Elizondo, now that all goes into question. It just makes you think. Right? Just makes
I feel that, when he talks about journalists and journalism and our job, it's true. We want to tell the truth. We want transparency, and we're working on it. But still, our responsibility is being cautious too. Because when you sound so optimistic, it's like you are already, exactly as Elizondo and this picture. And then you come with something that doesn't happen or happens, being a fake or whatever. So even as a journalist, and how much we want to know the truth and transparency, we need to be cautious and responsible to our audience and our people. So take it easy. Yes, we are excited, and the hearings are coming, and yes, we wish for the best, but be cautious, because we don't want another box in our faces.
Here's one of the things that I think is going to happen, and Juliana says there will be a lot of a nothing burger. However, look between the fine print. They will slip. They have to, as part of our disclosure process. And I kind of agree with that. And I kind of want to add more, because I've always said that it's going to take somebody to say, forget the NDA, forget the fact that I'm not supposed to say anything. I'm going to say something. And I think that's, as far as from the government end, I've always said that's the way the disclosure will come, because it won't come following the normal channels because of NDAs and things like that permit people from talking. I feel like there's going to be, if it comes from that side, is going to be someone that has to say, forget the NDA. I'm doing this for humanity. So I'm going to step out, put myself at risk of going to jail, but I'm going to come out and I'm going to say what I need to say, and I'm going to show what I need to show. So, that, and I've said that before, and just the way, and I don't think that's obviously probably going to happen coming on this hearing, but when he talks and he's so optimistic about what he says, thinks he knows about this, it just makes me feel like it could be one of those moments where someone is just going to come out and say something and put themselves at risk, right? I don't know.
Exactly.
But how could you make a statement saying that November 13th, after we've already had Grush, who came out and did a great job at saying what he knew, and that was a huge moment, but you're even hyping this up, that seems like it's even bigger than Grush. And so if it is, the only thing bigger than what Grush did would be somebody coming out to show something, or to kind of, do something above what an NDA would allow you to do. So I don't know, but I want to keep an eye on it. Obviously, we'll all be watching.
We will, yeah. It's exciting. I really hope for the best. And, we need to remember that those whistleblowers, no matter how much faith we put in these people. They are humans. They have families. They have kids. They need to take care of their lives anyway. And they have the disclosure agreement. So, yes, be happy, but take it easy. We need to see what will happen.
And I've always said this too. If it was me, and people say, "Oh, well, you're not in that position," so really, no. If it was me, and I'm not just saying this obviously because I'm on this side and we're talking about this, but if it was me and it was a moment like this where humanity needs to be aware that this stuff is happening, because you can release the information, the fact that ETs are here, or aliens are here, or they may have recovered alien spaceship, that's not classified really. I don't know, I don't know if you could force someone to not say those things, right? I don't know if an NDA would completely stop you. I would test it. I would just come out and say what I needed to say on behalf of humanity. And because it takes in history, if you look back, it took a person to sacrifice themselves for the greater
Right.
good of everybody else. And
Exactly.
I would be willing to do that. And I'm hoping somebody else feels like that, that's on that other side, is like, you know what? I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm going to hope that the people stand behind me and not allow the government to lock me up. I'm going to come out and tell everything like it is. And I actually have smuggled out this video that isn't supposed to be out. And I'm going to show it, because if I show this video in that moment, everyone in the world will know that this is real, and they won't allow the government to lock me up. Hopefully somebody's thinking like that. And, because I think if they did, theoretically, if somebody did come out, brought a video out they weren't supposed to bring, and then came out and took that risk, I think the people would stand behind that person. I know I would. I'd be out there
Agree.
with a sign saying, unlock, free whoever it is, free this person, because he only did this for humanity.
Exactly. And, this is the beauty of this, because this is not only talking about the whistleblowers. This is, when contactees are talking about their experiences, they are going through the same process as the whistleblowers over there. Talking about the stories many years ago was scary because you were called crazy. You wouldn't even share your story or even that you had a sighting. So our voice is critical here too. We are whistleblowers in our own way. See? And so everything needs to hold hands together. And I pray, as you, Robbie G, that there will be someone brave enough to take this thing like to the end, no matter what, because we need it. We need that kind of savior here. See?
Yeah, we have to do it. And I'm optimistic about that fact, because even though we look at the government itself as a whole is a machine, but without compassion or feelings for the citizens. But the government is made up of human beings. So just with that, having optimism on that just shows that, okay, there's a human in there somewhere that could tap into their compassion for humanity and say, you know what, am I going to stand for the government and keep humanity blind from what's really going on, or am I going to side with humanity and maybe go down in the history books as the one who actually stepped out and did this? And I just feel like as long as human beings are in the government, that there may be that one person that really just takes that on, and hopefully they do that, and hopefully we get that in this hearing. I just don't know, but I can be optimistic, right?
Yeah, we should. No, we cannot lose hope. We are making huge progress, huge steps. We are not in the same place we were even 10 years ago, which is nothing. So keep the spirit, keep looking into the sky, keep sharing your stories, keep researching, investigating, double checking everything. We are doing a great job and we will make it. We are disclosure. We are disclosure.
And I think that's a good place to end this tonight because you know the hearings are coming. So what, a week from now, the next show, the hearings will still be a few days out. So we'll be talking about this obviously coming up on this show. But I think it will also make things more clear as to maybe make the whole Lou thing make sense. Like once we see whatever the result of this is and who these people actually were and what they were bringing to the table, then maybe we'll be able to look back on the Lou thing and be like, okay, that might be why that happened, and kind of be able to connect those dots. So
Exactly.
so you got to come on with me again, Polly. Let's have this conversation when this all
Always
happens.
a pleasure, of course. Love you guys very much. And you are amazing, Robbie G. I'm so proud of you. Keep doing your amazing job. Love you very
Thank
much.
you. Coming from you, that I really value that because you are awesome as well. And you know, like I said, I go through all the chats, different channels that I've watched as well, and you make very intellectual, awesome questions, right? The questions that we need to be asking, and that's kind of what I'm looking at, and I see that you do that, and that's why I really appreciate what you do because you know a lot of people are going to ask questions, but who's asking the right questions, and I think that you definitely do that, Polly. So I would love to bounce some of this stuff off of you, and we can talk again and break this all down when it happens. How about it?
Sure, of course. I'm here. Let me know for all of you guys. Call, share. I'm here for every single one of you. So love you very much. Have a beautiful day. And I'll see you, of course.
All right, Polly. Thanks so much. We'll be talking soon.
Bye.
Take care. All right, guys. Yeah. Great conversation. Glad Polly came on and we were kind of able to end the show out with a great conversation and touch on some things. And I think we looked at some cool stuff. Got out my Lou thing because I talked about it on Spaced Out Radio and After Hours, but I only had a few minutes to do it. And I really kind of wanted to speak on that because I think we'll find out as time goes on if that was simply a mistake or not. It just seems too obviously fake of a photo for it to be a mistake that it was presented. I just for some reason I feel like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd feel that way. And then connecting the dots to the fact that we are having this hearing coming up, and Corbell has been hyping this as a moment in time where things will change. Then now you have to wonder if these two things are related in some way that we just haven't seen yet or not aware of. And that will all hinge on and depend on what is presented at this hearing. So, if it comes out that these are the people we've been waiting for that have brought something to the table, because why else would you keep them so secret? Your mind just starts going. Or as Juliana said, it could just be a nothing burger, like a lot of the other things have been. Some of the other events have been big, but as far as nothing burger, meaning that they didn't have the physical evidence that we needed to say this is real and kind of put a stamp on it. Just more of I heard or I know someone or that was involved with something. And hopefully this hearing brings people that either directly worked on some stuff, now that who knows, or somebody that's bringing something to the table visually that could kind of put a stamp on it, right? So we hope that that's the case, but we shall find out because we are only 10 days away from that hearing date, and I guess we will see. But before we go, Paramar jumped in, so we want to make sure Paramar can touch the stage What's going on, Paramarv?
Hey, Rob, how are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. You jumped right on in, man. I wish we'd have been here when Polly was here. We could have chopped it up. But what's going on with you?
Hey, this Nixon Gleason thing you were touching on a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
I believe it. I think that really happened because, and the guy you're reading from on Quora,
Yeah.
that's I don't think he's got the right context. I mean, you got to think about this. This is almost 60 years ago. It's in the early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Things were different then. And he was down in Nixon was down at his place in Key Biscayne, Florida. Okay. They referred to it as the Winter White House because it was so secure. Nixon was a local celebrity. Gleason was also a local celebrity. Those guys could do anything they wanted to at that time. Now,
Okay.
keep in mind also that the president is the commander in chief. Okay. He's technically the head of the military.
Right.
So, and the Air Force Base, I mean, it's a secure facility, obviously, but yeah, it's not Area 51 secure. Okay. It's not that level of security.
Let me know this though, Paramore. What's the origin of the story? Like, where was the story told first? How do we even know about this? Do you know? Have any idea?
Well, okay. A lot of the information I'm getting is from the book that, oh gosh, I forget his name. I could look it up real quick, but he was on with Dave on Spaced Out Radio a little over a year ago. But yeah, he wrote the book about Gleason and Nixon. He also wrote the book about the President Eisenhower, the meeting.
Yeah, are you able to get his name real quick? Is that a quick thing? Just for context, just so people will be able to research this on their own. Find out how he had the information, because knowing who he is, and we can follow that rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's something he dug into for a while, as I recall. But
let me see if I can try to find it here too.
Paul Blake Smith.
Paul Blake Smith.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then, so how does Paul Blake Smith know? Who was he to have where did he get the information from? Did he know them or?
No. I don't think he knew them personally. I mean, this is kind of it was probably scuttlebutt, and he got wind of it and kind of investigated it, from second or third tier people.
Okay. So. Well, I mean, it'd be interesting to look into, because it is definitely something that has been told and retold in the community, and it would be interesting. But it just feels like, if we're talking about, so even if they were able to drive down there and get to the base, we're talking about levels of security where these bodies would be. Do you think they would have to go through level 1, 2, and maybe the bodies are on 3 or 4? So, they would have to walk in there and then go through all these different security levels to get to where the bodies are. I don't know. It just feels like, but I don't know.
Okay, so the way the story goes is that Nixon and Gleason were hanging out. I forget if they were playing golf or if they were playing pool, billiards, right? And they both had a drink or two probably, and Nixon was in need of money because of the Watergate thing that was starting to break. Okay, and so he had a guy, I forget his name, who was dispersing funds, shall we say, to keep things quiet. And Gleason had famously, he had been a long time UFO fan, even though he hadn't seen anything, right? But he would go on, shows, radio shows and stuff, and offer $50,000, $100,000 to anyone who could produce hard evidence that UFOs or aliens existed. And again, this is back in the 60s, right? So by the 70s, he had actually upped that to $1 million. All right. Nixon could have used $1 million in February of 1973. So Nixon was down in Florida. Gleason had permanently moved down to Florida. Okay. he also had a house. He had the UFO house up in Peekskill, New York, I think it was somewhere up in New York.
Yeah, I thought he built that after this encounter. Supposedly, is that not true?
I forget the timing on that, but yeah, he spent like $650,000 building that, which translates to today for you and I, that would be like us spending $5 million. Money was really not a problem for him. This dude was loaded, crazy rich. Okay, so yeah, like, and that's what that also comes into play here, because when he's offering $100,000, keep in mind that that's in the '60s. That's a ton of money back then.
Yeah.
So, and $1 million was even more. So the thing is, he was desperate to find some proof. Nixon needed some money, and so I think it's entirely plausible that Nixon would have said, "Hey, you know what? Let's go for a drive." And it's late at night. The staffing at the military base would be minimal. I mean, you got some poor corporal or grunt who's at the gate, right? And 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, rolls up, and next to him is an entertainment god, Jackie Gleason. And they say, "Hey, why don't you let us in?" I'm not going to stop him. This is my boss's boss's boss, right? So
you make some good points on that.
He certainly had the power to do it, and Gleason was also kind of involved in the government in the fact that he was an informant for the FBI.
And to put it in context, because you kind of obviously in today's time, we look at Gleason, we know he was this big celebrity, but in the moment, in the time, he was like big, larger than life celebrity, along with the president, who's the highest in command. And so, yeah, I can see that dynamic. We know that Nixon was a crook for sure. So we know that the money option angle would for been definitely something that he would consider to do. So I can get that. You're laying it out really well. That makes sense. So, okay, they get there then, and obviously there's other people on the base. So if they have aliens there, it's not going to be at a clearance level for most of the people there. So it would have to be tucked away somewhere where, and it's just okay. How did they get from the gate to where the bodies were? Like, what was? That's where
Nixon notoriously was kind of well, you might say egocentric, and he had apparently requested, shall we say, demanded that some of this alien-related stuff be located at Homestead Air Force Base. So it was there in part because of him. I mean, they may have had some, but he centralized more of it there. Okay. So he had probably been there before. He knew where to go. Because he's not going to have it come there and then not go check it out for himself.
Okay. Now, is Homestead known to be one of these places? Like historically, like we know Wright-Patterson and other places that have been rumored to hold things. Was this base ever on the map for crash retrievals or anything like that?
I don't know that it was on the map for crash retrieval specifically, but it was on the map in terms of being a very secure location, just in and of itself, right? Because they were also running. It was a big like radio outlet in communication with planes and ships, and it was constantly sending encrypted messages out across the globe. And keep in mind, Homestead's that it's right above Miami, that area, and 70, 80 miles to the southwest, southeast is Cuba, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's going to be a secure location. So I could see the materials being there, the bodies, wreckage. I could see it being there.
I think you're making a great case. I think you're making a great case. Yeah. I could see that potentially. There's a lot of elements about that, the way you're telling it, as I could go with a lot of things that make sense. And then if it's known to be a secure base, especially in that time, one of the more secure facilities, it would make sense that that may be a place where if they were going to hold something, that they would. So I could buy into that. I could buy into that. It makes now the story more believable than it just being something posted on a random website. Getting more context and how the story came to be and who told the story. I would look into. So tell me who the guy is one more time. Let me write him down. I want to write this
Paul
down.
Blake Smith, and I want to say it was July of 23 that he was on with Dave.
All right. And he was the author of that. Okay. Paul Blake.
And also the book on Eisenhower.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I want to look more into that. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Let's go further into it. Maybe that's the topic for next week, and I'll be able to research and kind of have something to speak to on that, and have you come on if you're available.
Okay, we'll see. I don't know when. I've got a hockey tournament for my daughter next weekend, so it'll be a little iffy. But I'm going to throw a link
whenever you can.
Oh,
how about that?
Oh, so you're going to make me read the book again now. Take notes. I'm going to throw a link in for the smokinggun.com that shows that Gleason was an informant for the FBI, and actually down in the Miami area, he was a special agent contact. So, I mean, he had connections. Gleason had connections, government connections. So in addition to, and again, the thing is, you got some guy in his early 20s who's probably guarding that gate in the middle of the night, and Nixon and Gleason pull up. And Gleason's like a god. Gleason would be like George Clooney today.
Yeah.
So if the President of the United States and George Clooney pull up and says, "Hey, why don't you let us in? We're going to go check something out."
Open the door.
You're going to open that gate up. Because he is technically your boss's 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 boss.
I can see that. I can see that, Marv. I can see that. I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because it takes it more out of the conspiracy realm into something that may have actually taken place. And you've given us enough to do further research on, which I think is awesome too, because maybe we come back and we can validate why this guy who wrote the book would have known this information. And if he's, credible himself, and be able to go from there. So yeah, let's revisit this. Let's come back and talk about this again when you have the time. So regardless, we'll do the show, and then if you're available, we could hop on and address it. But I'll look into this week and see what I can learn about it as well.
All right, I'll throw that link in chat.
All right, Marv. Thank you, man. Awesome stuff.
You, sir.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night, folks.
You too. Take care. All right, Paramarv at the buzzer, y'all. Paramarv at the buzzer with the bombshell information. Very compelling how he laid that out. I like it. I definitely feel like, outside of hearing the story and within the community, you don't know too much about it or avenues to point to. If Paramarv came with some receipts and at least some, direction to look down. So I think that was awesome. Gives us some time to kind of look into it and see if it's a real thing, right? Because if it's a story that can go, that we can stick on the board and say this is actually, plausible enough for us to consider the fact that that presidents have had access to bodies, just starting there, because from what we hear, especially with today's presidential candidates and presidents, we hear they don't get this sort of access or information on these things. So to be able to have something there besides just Eisenhower, which we've all talked about, but to have this story as one that might have actually happened would be a cool thing. So we'll look further into it, and then we'll get back with Paramarv and we'll sit down and have the conversation, because I think that could be a very interesting conversation to have. So awesome stuff, Paramarv at the buzzer. Good stuff. And I want to thank Paramore for that. Also, Polly Rotterman for stepping on stage. And I think we had a great time tonight, right? For the call-in show. So let's do this again next week. Well, let me start here. There's some things going on with the studio here within the next week. So we may not have a show on every day of the days that were scheduled, but I think Wednesday we'll probably definitely get one in. The Friday show we may have to do on Thursday, and because I'm not even sure if we'll be doing things. If we're gonna have to cancel what's going on next weekend at Spaced Out Radio, so it's just something going on, a little transition stuff that I'm working through with as far as the studio is concerned. But I'll keep you posted. Check the community tab on this page. If anything does come up, I'll post it there. That way everybody knows. Outside of that, I want to thank everyone who has come through tonight. I want to thank welcome to the show, showing your love and support of Spaced Out Radio, or Spaced Out Radio, of the Social Dig and Spaced Out Radio, right? Because we're on both places. So want to thank welcome to the show. We want to thank Magneticus Attractus as well, and also T-Bone. You guys are all awesome. Can't do any of this without you. And tonight, right? Just a great conversation off the cuff. Kind of going through some things. That's how we do it here. If you guys are, I know there's people in chat, obviously, but if you're a lurker, right? If you're just kind of watching from the background and you haven't considered being a subscriber on this channel, we would love to have you back. So consider hitting the subscribe button. Also, it would be awesome if you guys could hit that like button to kind of jog the algorithm and let people out there know that we do this. Because some people might be interested in coming in and sharing some stuff, or just sitting in and listening. Either way it goes, it's all support. We appreciate it. So with that being said, I definitely just want to thank everybody for doing what you do. I'm going to run through as many names in the chat as I can real quick before we go. And I want to thank, obviously, the people we just thanked, but also Love You Love. Welcome to the show. Polly Rotterman, JSCO77, Paramarv, Lex Diaz. Let's see, Hillbilly Herb, T-Bone, let's keep going. I know Tomart Man was out there, Tomart Man right there. Who else? We had other people as well. Let me see. Area 51, who was here earlier as well. Magneticus Attractus. Let's see, scrolling through. Juliana McGill, Moody Mongol. Thanks for coming in. Let's see. Who else do we got? Brown Dwarf. Appreciate you showing up. Appreciate you coming in. And Scott Rosen. Thank you also for showing up tonight. It was awesome. Moving back. Yeah, just a lot of people. Appreciate you guys all showing up. It was awesome. Remember, for future reference, put this in your phone book. You can definitely call our line 24/7 anytime, 856-843-3444, or that's 856-THE-DIGG. If you happen to be calling from outside the United States, that's 001-856-843-3444 or 856-THE-DIGG. Also want to thank our members, Maggie M10, the Beekeeper, D. Nunley, T-Bone, and Joanne, Tomart Man, Richard Wilson, Love You Love, Dogface, Blue Riders DG, Poncho Zork, Devin Sacramento, Flat Six, Lulu Bell, President Zanny, Eternal, Thirsty, Bryce's Folly, Magneticus Attractors, Ursul's ProSoft, Kurt M, Hip the Ships, Welcome to the Show, Lil Camp 51, Lisa Davis, Kitty Catty Whack, Joe Monk, Phil R, Chris Jarvis, Robert Redmond, Clip Channel, Midwest Night Watchers, Guardian Jackpot, Brown Dwarf, Drew Banky, Miss Captain Jones, Deadfish, Cheese Spread, Moody Mongo, and W. Decker. Because we got them all in. Thank you guys so much for your support tonight. It's been awesome. We're going to do this again. I'll see you at the after hours tomorrow with Ross Allison as we get into some really good stuff. Have a great rest of your night. Sleep tight and take care.